Well, we just walk away from a very devastating tie, even though it feels like a defeat, but it's a tie versus Curaçao, which pretty much eliminates us from the World Cup. Not mathematically, but I think logically speaking, it does. In this video, I will share my thoughts about the game and what I think we can expect from this point forward. I'll start by saying that Becachese is ultimately the one who is responsible the most for today's result. When you look at the lineup, there is a lot of questions to be asked, especially with Alcivar and Franco. I think that he really chose to go a very defensive route to start the game, because we all know that Franco is a very solid player, but he doesn't offer you anything in transitions in the attack, especially when he's playing as a defender. And we knew this going into the game. Alcivar ended up being kind of like a pointless player, and it kind of just makes you question whether he properly analyzed the opponent, that is Becachese, because he was extremely pointless. He served nothing. He was there for no reason throughout the game. And when he had the ball, I mean, it was just pretty much just giving it to a neutral player that just serves as a number on the field. He didn't contribute to any creativity. He didn't contribute to any through ball passes. And he found himself pretty much just pointless in the game, which is obviously clearly what Becachese saw that made him make the change in halftime. But at that point, it's like, why do you start the game this way? A game that everybody saw was going to be easily attack driven. That the team that you are facing is going to give you time, is going to give you space to build and find ways to attack. But instead of having players that can help you with the overlap, instead of structuring the team that can give you diagonal runs from wingers, from your striker, you don't see that. So that was Becachese's number one mistake, and how he started the game with the lineup that he did. We basically shot ourselves in the foot this way. The second biggest thing was we didn't have our players show up today, which we saw in the first game. Our most influential players in the attack just weren't there. Plata had, for the most part, a quiet game. He might have had a good 1v1 here and there, but what does that mean if you don't get the result, right? And in Valencia, like I said the last game, I love the guy. He is the GOAT. But we all know as Ecuadorians, when he just doesn't show, he doesn't show. He's either going to have a very good game or a very bad game. And we might just, this might just be the tournament that it's not going to be his at all. And surprisingly, again, Moises Caicedo, I mean, you do see his frustration at the end of the game, and emotionally how it means, what it means to him to tie against a team like this. But I don't know, I just get the impression he's not fully driven wholeheartedly, sweating the jersey like before. And that's to most of these boys. Like, you're playing the World Cup. Like, this is all or nothing. Like, the passion that's supposed to run through you when you're playing for your national team, I just failed to see it. And it felt like it was just one of those friendlies where they come to the United States and they play. Obviously, at the end of the match, you had a few players break down and this and that, but during the game, you just didn't see it. Third thing I would say is there is no structure in the attack with this team. There is a sense of, let me get down the field, let me try to play a cross in, let me try to bounce the ball from one side of the field to the other, see if we have something going on, and that's what we'll try to play. Or last resort, let's see if I can push our center backs forward, give them the ball, and see if they can play it with a long ball. And it just, like, to me, like, when I was looking at the first half, I was just thinking to myself, why is it so hard for one of our attacking players to just find the ball in front of the net? Why is it that it's always rushed? Why is it that we just can't seem to connect? And it just I just keep thinking about, what do these guys do when they're with the manager, when they're with BKC? What is it that they practice in these drills, in these sessions? Because we've seen this be an issue for months and months and months and months and months. You would think that by now there would have been a solution to why, or at least an idea of chemistry in the final third. If we bring the ball down this way, this is the player that we're going to attack, or this is the player that we're going to find. These are the zones that we want our players to rush into. This is going to be the decoy run to then find this player. But you just don't see anything. You just see Hail Marys at the end, hoping that something happens, hoping that that player just happens to be there. So the national team knew for months that our biggest weakness is the attack. And ultimately, that's what puts the nail in our coffin. Lastly, I think BKC really screwed up with the substitutions. I think the players that he was supposed to put in first, he ended up putting in last. And the players that he might have took out earlier, he ended up never taking them out, or taking them out too late. Like, for example, Preciado should have gone in from the beginning of the second half. Ideally, he should have started the game, because he gives you width, he gives you speed. He goes all the way to the corner flag of the opposing team, which we didn't do throughout the whole game until he showed up on that right side. So I think that was a big mistake that he did, because the Curaçao team was just sitting in the low block and just waiting and knowing that all they have to do is tighten up the gaps in the middle, and that's pretty much it. And that's the only way we try to really attack, is through the middle area of the final third. Very little did we try to expand that team as much as possible and try to create some sort of gaps in the middle. So I think that BKC really messed up with the substitutions, putting in Preciado on minute 83. And I know he put in Rodriguez at the start of the second half. Later on, he put in Nilson Angulo, which, again, I mean, like, I'm not too impressed with his performance. Yes, he had a good dribble here and there, but I mean, you're playing against a Curaçao team. If you're not taking these guys on 1v1s and beating them, you know, that's pretty much the standard. That's the basic. That's the very bare minimum that you should be doing. And Jordi Caicedo gets in too late, when maybe Ender Valencia should have come out. It just clearly isn't his tournament. Take the guy out. We love him. We respect him. But you got to take him out. It's not his day. And as a football manager, you should know that when it's just the striker's not, it's not his day, just take him out. But he takes too long to do that. So ideally, I would have liked to see Preciado in earlier, take Valencia out, put in the two new strikers, and let's try to get the ball in the air. Let's try to create width. We know that Kevin Rodriguez and Jordi Caicedo are not good with dribbling. They're not gonna help you with collective play. So let's just try to get them in the box. Let's try to play that ball inside the box. Let's try to do something different and see what happens from there. But like I said, very low level of chemistry in that final third. even with corner kicks, it's just disappointing to see these corner kicks just go to nothing. Like, you would think that it's a World Cup. A corner kick is worth so much more. If we're 0-0 and we have a few minutes left, it's our last corner kick. This is what we're going to try to do. But you see nothing. So it's a very disappointing way to virtually be out of the tournament. So what's next? We have a game versus Germany, which I think at very best, we can hope for a tie, which would knock us out of the tournament. And I think a loss is very probable because of the quality that they show. But again, with the defense we have, hopefully a tie. But winning the game, which is technically our only option, just seems impossible. We couldn't beat this team. We can't beat Curaçao. How can we beat Germany? And then I would say, ultimately, this would be the end of BKHS, which would be a happy day, I guess, for all Ecuadorians at this point. But the following question would be who would replace him? Who is going to have the resume to be able to build this team of fantastic players, no doubt, but just has areas to grow in, has the need of solutions in the attack, which I'm sure we have. We have the material there, but we didn't have a manager willing to give new people a try. Try as much as he can. He had so much time to find solutions to these issues. So hopefully we end up with a positive result. As an Ecuadorian, I'm always going to be positive and hopeful for a positive result versus Germany. But obviously after today, it just seems very unlikely.